Sean Dustin spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. Upon release in 2006, he had nothing but the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and legal paperwork. In 2010, he kicked a long-time methamphetamine habit and started the long climb back up the ladder of life. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. If you want transparency and authenticity, you're in the right place. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and this is Sean Dustin.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for stopping by the show. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and I'm your host, Sean Dustin. So today is a more of an update than anything. I know it's been a while since I've put anything out. It's been almost a month and a half, or maybe a little bit over a month and a half. I'm not sure. Haven't been counting, but I know what I have been doing, and you know, I went back to work, I would say probably going, I don't even know, it was like 3 months maybe, or I'm not sure. I've been back to work for a little bit, and, you know, I've been struggling with trying to find a balance, and some of my behaviors actually, that I notice that are popping up, like procrastination, what else? Being lazy, you know, sleeping too much, falling asleep as soon as I get home, because I smoked some weed or, you know, something, you know. And what I've been able to kind of attribute, you know, those things to is, just not trying to escape from something. I'm imagining, right? And indirectly. So what I've noticed is, instead of like going when I get home and immediately going to, you know, take a shower and then go to my desk and start working on putting out an episode, what I'll do instead is go and sit down and, you know, maybe take a hit of marijuana and just sort of escape from whatever it is that I need to be doing. And if I fall asleep, then, you know what I mean? That's it. Day's over. Pretty much, because nothing's happening after that. And so I find myself unconsciously doing this, and it's turned into a habit. But what I've noticed even from before that, if I go even further into it, is... So I don't know if all of you are familiar with the trip that I took down to Florida in the end of April of 2020 to be on a show called The Concrete Podcast. And I went down there, and it wasn't my best performance. It wasn't my best appearance on a show. And I was nervous. You could tell that. I was just all business and not really personality. Like, I mean, if you've watched some of my shows, you know, you'll see that my personality has come out, and this wasn't that at all. And part of it was because that I didn't, like, I had prepared to come on to the show by listening. You know, I watched a bunch of episodes and got to know a little bit about the host, right? And the only contact that I had with that show was the booker. And so when I got there, like, I'd never had a one-on-one phone conversation with him like I do with guests, you know, to just kind of like break the ice and, you know, get a little bit comfortable. And so when I came in, it was like really cold and there was just nothing there. And, maybe I'm just not used to that. And I've done that to people too. And so it was really a great exercise for me in seeing, like kind of how that felt on the opposite end, right? When somebody doesn't take any time to even he didn't know anything about me really, except for, his booker said that I was, probably a good guest. He had heard me, I think, on another show where I'd gotten emotional and, telling my story. And so this was completely different. I was able to tell some of my story, but I mean, it was in a more, like down to business, no banter, right? Between me and this guy. Cause we didn't know each other. I mean, when I walked in, and here's another thing where I screwed up too, is when I walked into that interview, I immediately gave him the things that I brought for him. I got like a couple of the shirts that I was wearing on that show that said Nowhere to Go But Up Project. I brought two of them for him, and I gave them to him in the beginning, when I even got there. And I had done a little bit of research on him, and one of his things that he liked to drink is bourbon. So I went and picked up a nice bottle of Russell's. I believe that's what the brand was. But I mean, it's a decent, price bottle of bourbon. And I should have presented those while the episode was recording. That was my bad. But I mean, no mention of it anywhere. You can even see the bottle behind me in the interview because of how they have it. And, it's the one that's all the way to the left on that. So all that was kind of going through my head. I'm like thinking, what? Dude, didn't even, acknowledge in the beginning, hey, And so, that was playing on me too. And, I think it just goes, in that instance, I think it would just went more of just the age difference, right? I'm 47. I don't know. I believe he's probably late 20s, early 30s. But from a different generation, right? Like when somebody takes that time, I guess you could almost liken it to when somebody takes the time to write a letter, right? Versus making a phone call. When somebody has taken the time to research, where they're coming on, and then finding, oh, he likes bourbon, so let me pick him up a nice bottle, most of the time that gets, people will acknowledge that, hey, wow, you actually took some time. Versus where, he didn't take any time at all, like to even know who I was, what I was coming on there for. He knew that I was a meth addict, but that's pretty much it. That was the extent. He was, kind of going by the seat of his pants, and waiting and letting the, or hoping that he could get all the information he needed in the interview or conversation. So, and that just aired actually. And, so knowing that I didn't do my best there, right? It just kind of, I saw that there was when I go and I look back at the statistics on my own podcasting host, that from that point on, everything started dropping. Like I went from here, I can pull it up right now. I went from hold on. So in May, I went from like 2,000 downloads to, I think it was like almost like 2,500 in April, where I was putting out, there was a point where I put out 14 episodes a month for 2 months straight. Then it went down to 12, and, May, it went down to, 2,000. I don't know what it was. I can't see what's before May, but I know there was 2 points there. May went down to 1,021. June went to 1,002. July, I think June I went back to work. So that had a little bit to do with it. But July 598, August 358 so far this month. So I mean, you could see a definite decrease from that point on. And what I think it was is that, you know, I got some imposter syndrome about, you know, like, should I even be doing this? Like, I can't even show up and give whatever on that episode, right? For whatever reason, like, I just knew that, like, I just didn't like it. I didn't like how it felt. I didn't like my performance. And so, like, all that was starting to play a huge, like, play on my psyche, right? Like, God, you don't even, like, who are you? Like, who are you trying to be? You know, that imposter syndrome just started creeping in, and it was winning. It was winning because look how long it's taken me to get back on the microphone to even, you know, want to talk to you guys again, you know, so it had an impact on me. And, you know, it was almost like when I lost the election at the, for the union, you know, when I went to, when I wanted to get nominated to be a business agent, you know, for my local, and, you know, that whole campaigning and, like, you know, it didn't even have anything to do with that campaigning. It just had more to do with the fact that I had, like, invested so much time into this, and this was my trajectory, and this is where I wanted to go. And, you know, I crossed all the T's and I dotted all the I's, and, you know, I did all of the things that I was supposed to do. And, like, I didn't only fall short. I fell flat on my face. You know, like, I had been pumped up by everybody, you know, that supported me. And I really believed them. But what I didn't realize is that, you know, I hadn't done a whole lot on trying to connect with my fellow peers. You know, I was so consumed up in the echelon of the union, going to events and functions and, you know, volunteering my time and you know what I mean? Being in that, but actually not being paid to be in that. I was just volunteering most of the time and, you know, getting elected to do a lot of these things. And when that didn't happen for me, when I was like, God, you know, I put so much time, like, this is the first time that I had actually put so much of myself into something, and didn't, like, I did it the right way. Like, I didn't find a way to, like I normally do, to get around something or find a way to cheat the system. You know, I actually put everything into it, and I got served, basically. You know, I had the lowest amount of votes, and there was 3 people that were running for that position, and I had the lowest. Oh no, there was 4. Was there 4? I think it was 3. And I had the lowest amount of votes, but from all of them. So, I mean, here is this, you know, I have this idea of myself that I've built up, and who I am, and in this organization, and, you know, all of the merit things I did that were merit. What's the word? Emeritus? I don't know what that word is, but anything that had to do with merit, because that's what I was thinking. Out the door, man. It was all about popularity, and I wasn't popular amongst my peers, and it was, and I mean, not by a little, by a lot. So that was that was shattering to my ego, right? And so I literally, you know, like, withdrew from everything. You know, I hadn't, you know, I had taken time off of work and gone on, I was living on credit cards, you know, trying to put everything I had into this election, you know, running up to the vote, and it all backfired in my face. You know, it cost me like $9,000 in credit card debt, and, you know, it just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And I withdrew. And I licked my wounds for probably, I would have to say, a good month, maybe a month and a half. Slept the same thing, like the same shit, right? And so it's learning, a lot of, I don't know if it's like people that have been like in my situation, formerly incarcerated, people that didn't really get that upbringing of, what responsibility looks like and, how to persevere through adversity. I know getting through prison and all of that is, not everybody can do that and not everybody does do that, but it's a different kind of perseverance. That's not ingrained as something that like you're taught. That's just something that I had to get through. It's not my default, right? It's not the default that I shift to when hard things, when things get hard. My default for when things get hard is to shut down. Especially if I fail, is to shut down and just, instead of pushing through that, like I gave up 100%. I was like, you know what, fuck this. I don't want to do this. Fuck these people, and just got like an attitude about it and, just sort of cut everybody off. And, and I'm still there at that point with this union. I mean, I'm working, but I'm not going to any of the meetings. I'm not involved like I was. Instead of persevering and saying, okay, well, I didn't win this time, and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, and at some point, you get into it. And a lot of it had to do with, I'm just not, it's just not what I want to spend my time doing. My daughter is way more important, and watching that relationship and watching her grow and learn and learning how to interact with her environment around her and the people around her. It's amazing. It's like, I feel like they did me a service by not, you know what I mean? Because of what I realized that I was missing if I would have taken that position on. It means a lot of time. There would be time away from home, and that would sort of subside. As for the first year, you're doing a lot of traveling, trainings and stuff like that. But after that, it kind of subsides. But you have to be available all the time. And so I value my time with my daughter way more than I value, that. Who knows? I would probably feel differently if it went differently. But nonetheless, I'm still happy. But I said all that. And that was a lot. Sorry, man. I get on these little stupid rants every now and again and lose direction of what I'm trying to talk about, because guess what? Nothing is scripted in front of me. So you're really a hostage to my brain if you're following me, because it goes all over the place sometimes. But like I said all that to say this. I am recognizing and I'm observing some of these behaviors that I still have that do not serve me. And with the show, it's trying to balance out, and also, here's another thing too, is like I had 14 months, right? 14 months of getting paid doing what I wanted to do. And I couldn't turn that corner as well. And, into monetization for the show and have it sort of like start paying for itself, and learning how to get sponsorships and to do this. I started I made an LLC for it towards the end. It's like I don't know, man. There was just a lot of things that were playing into me, into my own I don't know, like behaviors of wanting to give up and just like, just sort of turning my back on it. And I don't know, man, I just been struggling, and I don't necessarily know why. Like I see the behavior and I see, where it started and kind of, how it's moving and where it's manifesting. As to why, I don't know. I don't know why I felt like that, and I allowed it to, kind of permeate what I was trying to do with this podcast as well. So, I'm not perfect. That's for sure. Never claimed to be. I'm a work in progress. And you guys, if you're listening and following along, you're following along on somebody who's letting you be a fly on the wall, or I'm inviting you to be a fly on the wall of my progression and just sort of learning about me through all the things that I've been through and, what I've tried to do. I think folks that have suffered with traumas and especially, if you've been incarcerated and you've gotten out and you've, you dealt with addictions and all of these other things. I mean, there's so much, and I'm not using this as an excuse by any means, but I mean, there's just so much there and so many years of bad behavior and, things that have become subconscious or, defaults. That's hard to break. Hey, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna let the boy out here. All right, come on. I know where you're going. So, yeah, that's kind of what that is, and yeah, that's. What was that? 20 minutes to say that, and I didn't even hardly get anywhere. So that's sort of where I've been mentally. That episode did come out, I think a day ago. I watched 20 minutes of it, and I just didn't want to watch anymore. And I jumped down in the comments and started, reading the comments, which, Rogan tells you, don't stay away from the comments. But it's hard, man. It's hard not to want to know what people are saying about you or about, your like I just told my story and, there's some people that are bashing me. Some people are like, oh, that's guy's full of shit. Everything he's saying is rubbish or whatever. And, but there's also people that are saying, hey, that are coming to my defense in there. So that was also cool to see. And then also too, there's people that have been commenting that, they're tired of this host's lack of, finding anything out about the people that he's actually interviewing, like knowing something coming in. So people have been commenting on that too. So, I feel a little bit vindicated. Okay, maybe I'm not not that much of a loser. And I know I'm not a loser. There was a point in time when that statement wasn't true, or was true of being a loser, loser-ish, but, I think everybody's been at some point in their life where they didn't feel the best, or they could have, made better decisions, could have performed better, could have done, hindsight's 2020, right? So I'm just happy that, I'm getting a little bit more clarity of what I want to do and what direction that I want to go and kind of where I want to take this, pivot that I want to make out of construction. Well, at least the hands-on portion of it. I'm thinking of starting another show that deals with the building trades, which it's my wheelhouse. I can talk to that. So and it's needed too, because there's tons of that's not the only college is not the only way, and getting indoctrinated into debt before you've even made any money is a horrible sort of blueprint. To start life, right? And so I think people need to understand a little bit more that, there's other pathways that you can take to get to the same place. It takes a little harder work. Yeah, you're not going to, be sitting in a cushy office in the beginning, but, there is pathways to cushy officeness, once you're in the trades and you've, become a journeyman and, you've worked in the trades for like 10 years. I mean, there are ways that you can get into the office, get in as an estimator, get in as a a superintendent, which is, mostly a salaried position. There are pathways to getting off of the tools. If you're in a union, you can become, part of the business, part of your local, and, become an organizer or a business agent, or teaching in the school is also an option too in the apprenticeship program. So it's just it's not just I'm a blue collar guy and that's all I can do, or a blue collar woman, that's all I can do. I mean, there is paths to getting off of the tools. So, and I think people, they need to know that, especially with all of the things that are coming out now with or that did come out about wealthy people cheating and getting, paying money to get their kids into school, the scandal that happened with that. And so it's just like, corruption is everywhere. But we're not going to get into that. I don't want to talk about that. If you want to hear more about corruptions and stuff, I've got plenty of content in my catalog up to date, that talks about corruptions and stuff like that. This is more of an update on the show. So what I really want to try to do is, the nonprofit is rolling. We've about to do our what do they call it? Strategic planning meeting here coming up in September, where we're going to sit down and figure out where do we want to go? How are we going to get there? There's been some people that have come on and, that have resigned, just because they didn't. I mean, this is a startup. I mean, literally start up from the ground, even processes of a business, all that stuff is being worked on as we speak. So I forgot about that part where, doing that too is because that became the priority. So 12 hours, basically I get home around 4. And, by the time I get a shower, let's just say 4:30, it's usually more like 5. So from 5 on is what I have to kind of work with. And so the nonprofit has become, the priority. The podcast has kind of slipped back, the priority actually is my daughter, and work, family, nonprofit, podcast. So, the podcast has been suffering quite a bit, but what I'm going to do is, after this update for you guys, and I think this is the first solo I've done since episode 3. And there's reasons for that too. I use the guests as a crutch, so I don't have to. I have things to talk about. I'm not I don't know. I think I just mind fucked myself into thinking that was hard, which it doesn't appear to be, as I'm doing it right now, talking to you at this moment. So, the mind is crazy, man. If you allow it to, it will screw you out of everything. Or talk you, at least steal your joy. And I don't know if everybody's mind is like that, but I know mine is. So anyways, that episode, and I'm jumping around, I realize that, but that episode did come out, and I think, I already covered that. Sorry, my bad. That's why you should have some bullet points in front of you for folks that are thinking about becoming podcasters and or speakers in general, public speaking. I mean, Jesus, that's public speaking 101. Have bullet points, so you don't lose your structure and structure, what you're going to be talking about just a little bit, so you don't wander. And I wander quite a bit with my thoughts and my train of thoughts. So, kind of how silly of me, I almost forgot that a little while back, when was that? When I went to Las Vegas to meet my daughter for the first time, my oldest, who is 21. And yeah, I met her for the first time. I went and flew out to Vegas, stayed there for the weekend. I think I was there Thursday night, and I left Sunday morning. So all of Friday, we hung out and we went and played. Well, first when we met, she came to the hotel, and I was kind of nervous, right? Excited and nervous, and like everything that I was going to record it and all of that, and that just kind of didn't work out because you need like probably another person to do that, and I didn't want to have a GoPro strapped to my head. I felt like that would be kind of awkward too. So we met, and then we went to the first place we went, which was really funny, is we went to a dispensary. So our first outing together, she jumped in the car and she's like, right, I'm going to drive. And I was like, all right, well, shit, it's your town. You know where to go. Go for it. And so, she drove us around. We went to one, a real popular one, I think. I can't remember what it is. It's the big one though. In the line, and like we would have been there for like 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm not really that impressed with, wanting to see everything they got here. So let's try a different place. And so we went across the street, and we were in and out of there in a while. And then we rolled a joint, and that was, and then, sat in the, we went, where'd we go? We went to eat somewhere, her favorite place to eat. And so we sat in the parking lot just talking and smoking, and we just, before we knew it was like 35 minutes, we just been chilling and talking about stuff in the car. And I'm like, dude, we need it. Let's go inside. I'm hungry. And so we went and we ate, and then after that we went to Top Golf and played there for a little while, and just got to know each other, asking questions like what are your favorite colors. It's just really getting to know her and her getting to know me. And the next day we went to we went to ride paddle boards in the morning to the afternoon up at Lake Las Vegas. And so we went paddle boarding on the water. And then that evening were the fights. So that really popular fight, UFC fight, the Conor McGregor fight was happening. And I could actually see the arena from my hotel room as I was staying in the MGM Grand Signature. And that was pretty cool. So I ordered the fight, and we watched the fight. And she came up with her boyfriend to my room, and he's a MMA fighter, not MMA, but a jiu-jitsu practitioner and tournament guy. So that was cool. And that was it. Next day, I went and met a colleague that used to work for me up here in the trade, and went to lunch with him, and then flew back. And that was really cool, man. I saw a lot of me in her. She's really smart. Just her smile is pretty infectious. I just enjoyed spending that time with her, and getting to know her again. And we've been in contact. We talk every now and again, not now and again, but we text back and forth. She's not much of a voice talker or a phone call. And I guess that's just the generation, maybe, because I would way rather talk on the phone than text. To me, texting is annoying, and it's not the. I think text messaging is cool for short message, but if you have any kind of a conversation you want to have with somebody, or any kind of verbiage that you're exchanging that's longer than, hey, what do you want for dinner? This or, whatever. It's a horrible way to communicate, but whatever. I'm sure there was things that we did, that our parents, thought were not the best ways of doing stuff either. So yeah, that happened. And so that was, really cool. And I think the last thing I published on this podcast was her mom and I's interview. I had her mom on the show prior to me going out there, and then kind of, just sort of having that conversation. And so that's pretty cool. That's all I wanted to do, because I'm actually interjecting back in because I almost forgot to put that in. So, back to the rest of it. What else? I got my first piece of content removed from YouTube. That happened this morning when I opened up my email, and the live stream I did yesterday with a returning guest, which is Dr. Joel Hirschhorn, who I had done the live stream with in May. I brought him back because I was listening to a Union of the Unwanted episode where there was a round table discussion with a bunch of different doctors and some of my alternative media friends. And, I was like, oh my God, the information that they're bringing out, I felt like I needed to say something, because like, this is crazy where doctors are being deplatformed for medical misinformation. Like, anything against the narrative for vaccines, for any of this, is like, they're just removing all your shit. They're censoring everything. And, he was talking about, he just done an article about micro blood clots and then bigger blood clots that are coming from people that have taken the vaccine, that they're noticing. And you don't notice in the micro ones, they don't show up in any of the like MRIs or any of the imaging stuff, right? It only shows up in a D-dimer type of blood test, and they see it. And what's happening is that the spike protein, the spike actually sticks out, and it's catching on stuff and causing like log jams, I guess. And this is a crude way of putting medical stuff, but I mean, it's like a log jam that's being created. And over time, we don't know like how that's gonna, like what that's gonna do. I mean, if at some point, that's where the blood clots come in, the aneurysms, brain aneurysms are coming, are a symptom of that. And so, or maybe not a symptom, but a result of some of that they're seeing. So, and nobody's covering it. Nobody is talking about it in the mainstream. It's just, vaccine, vaccinate. And you can't even really call them vaccines either. That's not the proper name for them. I mean, a vaccine that you take, if you take a vaccine for polio, it keeps you from getting polio. If you take a vaccine for chickenpox, it keeps you from getting chickenpox. You take a flu shot, and everybody knows that you still have a good chance that you might get it. You're just not going to get it as bad. And so this should be sort of in that same category, right? Because it's not keeping you from getting anything. And it's not the only remedy out there. It's not the only way out, like they're trying to tell you. Like, our only way out of this is to vaccinate. I think that's what Bill Gates said. And he's not the only one that said that. A lot of other folks said that. And that's not true. There are other remedies out there. There was early treatment protocols that were being blocked by Dr. Fauci in the United States. Those, which one those are, the H word and the I word. Zinc and quercetin and vitamin D and C and all of those things. I mean, the stuff that are helping people to build their immune systems, that was being demonized as well too. So I don't know, crazy times. I got that episode got removed for medical misinformation on the vaccines, which is not true. There's not any misinformation there. It's just it goes against their narrative, and vaccinate at all cost, And so it was an interesting episode. You guys can catch that. You're going to catch it here, actually, because the next thing that I'm going to upload after this is I'm going to upload the first conversation with me and him where he's talking about his book called Pandemic Blunder. And then the next one will be part 2, which was the one that got removed from YouTube. On Twitter, it's pretty. It's going pretty well. I mean, within the last, it hasn't even 24 hours, and it's 209 viewers so far. When I woke up this morning, it was 180 something, and so I mean, it's just the views are increasing. So they'll probably get removed from there as well at some point. All right, what else? What else? I'm thinking on the. So I didn't make an update when I switched my show, which I probably should have. When I switched the kind of format of it by doing it as a live stream and then just moving it over the audio to a podcast. So that's just what I'm doing, and that's what I need to do. There are some episodes that I have out there that haven't been live streamed that I still need to get out. There's about 40 plus. I might do some of them. I might not do some of them as well. It just depends on what the, like how relevant the content is and how good the conversation is. Cause not all conversations, not to say that they're good, but at this point, trying to move through some of this and to get past this dog pile or log jam, like I said earlier, log jam of episodes that need to come out. And the ones that I do as a live stream, they're just easier for me to pull across because all of the show notes are already done prior. And so I'm just copying, pasting, and just setting up the what I want you to see on the hosting platform and whatever goes out to you, whatever goes out to, what is that? iTunes or Spotify or the podcast platforms. So what I'm going to try and do and shoot for right now until I can, get a little bit better of a handle on work. And work is actually slowing down. I was off 2 days this last week. So I spent one of them with my daughter, and then Friday I took care of some stuff, and today's Saturday, so that's why I'm, doing this. I finally got up the courage, right? I finally broke through that block that I was having of it was weird, man. It was like I had this thing that wasn't allowing me to come in here and push record on. I could come in here and talk on my microphone through, whatever it is that I do on Clubhouse and some of the other things that I still engage in. But pressing record and doing this was there was some kryptonite going on here. I'm telling you, man, it was strange. And then all of a sudden after, I watched that, after that episode sort of, aired, it all of a sudden it didn't have any hold over me anymore because I just started people are seeing what I saw, and are reacting the way kind of like I reacted, and so it was, for whatever reason, it was almost a gate got lifted and okay, there you go, you can go get back on the microphone and talk, and all this is behind you now. It's so weird, man. The human mind and how it has control, and what we allow our own minds to convince us of sometimes is so crazy. What else? I am trying to turn this into a full-time gig at some point. I get so much joy out of doing this versus what I have to do for a living. So, any help that you can give would be greatly appreciated. If you have a business, that you do online stuff, if you have whatever it is, that you do and you want, that's a horrible pitch, right? That is a horrible pitch. Jesus Christ. Hey, well, if you want to, if you got a business and, you need somebody to talk about your business, just let me know. Hit me up. Jesus. Come on, Sean. What's going on? If you would like to have somebody or would like to advertise on the show, if you are I don't know, if you just want to support the show and your business and you want to advertise your business on this show, I have a tiered system for sponsorship. So just hit me up at nowheretogobutupnow@gmail.com and say you're inquiring about episode sponsorship, and I'll shoot you the tiers and what that looks like, for sure. Because I definitely could use it. What else? We got one more thing. I'm sure I'm missing something. I always do. I need to get on the ball about being a little bit more organized with my thoughts. But then it wouldn't be me, would I? I'm kind of all over the place, man. Even if you look at my episodes, like you can see my personality and kind of in my shows, in like the randomness, like it's like just completely random. Like there's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing except for the comeback stories or the bottoms that people talk about, that I have interviews with or conversations with folks. That's the consistent part, but everything else is kind of like out of the... It's all over the place. Well, that's all I think I have. It's about 40 minutes. It's enough time. I've taken up enough of your time with my talk. Yeah, and if you're watching a show and if you're getting something out of this show, man, that's at the end of the day, that's all I can ask. That's what I want. And I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate all of your, if you've gone on and done a review, don't think that has gone unnoticed, because it has not. And yeah. Until the next time I decide to get up here on a solo soapbox mission. Just kidding. Thanks for everything, and keep it 100. Stay true to yourself, because everything else is just noise. So not before I leave you with one of my favorite things that my daughter, she was playing around with Riley, trying to get him to high five her. And, she was like sitting there, trying to, hey, high five, do it like this. And he just wasn't, complying with her. And at the very end, she said this.
I know you love me, I know.
You've been listening to the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. Sean is a single dad, a union blue-collar guy, and he spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. When he was released from prison in 2006, all he had was the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and some paperwork. Since then, he's turned his life around and shares the struggles and successes on this podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you were moved. To connect to the show, book a guest spot. For merch, Patreon, PayPal, and social media links, go to linktr.ee/nowhere to go but up. On Instagram at Nowhere to Go But Up Now. On Twitter at But Up Now. On the YouTube channel at Nowhere to Go But Up Podcast. See you next time.